Hello, this is Reverend Dore Jacques Patlian bringing you Religious Science, which is the teaching of the science of mind, and the perennial philosophy, which is the thread of truth that runs through all great religions when you strip out the do's and don'ts and the dress codes and the ceremonies. Today, let's talk about the faith chip. As I write this post, there are scientific studies underway at 3 of the nation's premier research universities on the subject of faith. Yes, faith. Is it real? Does it really move mountains to accomplish the seemingly impossible? And do all of us have this faculty? Does it matter what the object of your faith is? Or is it just faith itself that is the power? As many of my frequent readers know, I'm the beneficiary of great faith and will on the part of my mother and the cooperation of my father. Their faith and a tool called affirmative prayer, used by Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Religious Science, assisted in my healing of cerebral palsy, which is an incurable birth condition. I'm about 95% normal, whatever that is, which is a miracle since even the Mayo Clinic in the 1940s consigned me to a life of disability and probably institutionalization. Well, I'm not in an institution and I'm doing just fine and I can do everything that just about anybody else can do. So what is this thing called faith and where does it come from? Most might say God. Perhaps that's true, but I have seen secular scientists who had absolute faith in the scientific method and knew without a doubt that their hypothesis was correct. After many controlled studies and years in the laboratory, they saw their idea become a scientific theory. You know, a theory is what happens to a hypothesis when it grows up. When it reaches theory status, we generally accept it as truth unless we find out later we were wrong. Their faith in themselves and in science allowed them to do what others said was impossible. You know, atheists have faith. They have an absolute faith there is no God, and they substitute science for religion as their faith. It is the faith, I believe, that does the work. Faith is a belief in the unseen and the as yet unaccomplished. It is the ability to see and believe absolutely that your desire or your idea is already created in your heart and your mind. It only awaits its birth into physical form and reality. Faith is the igniter of the flame of creation. It's the heat in the oven that bakes the divine mind into the material that we can use. It is the power behind the law of mind action that activates the creative process that comes from the divine mind we call God, operating upon law. It is how thought and word become form. Faith is what turned void and darkness into the firmament and the deep that we call earth. Faith is the word spoken with absolute certainty without any proof or evidence that it is so. You can't really ask people of faith to prove because they just know. It's not something they can put on the table and show you. I believe that faith does the work, not the object of the faith. That's my personal belief. Faith is built into every human being, that is, until the mortal mind, the mind that dies with us, the ego mind, society and the ego kills it. It is never too late to resuscitate your faith. Even under the last hour of your life, faith can rise like a phoenix from the ashes of disbelief and carry you home from whence you came. Earth is not your home. You are a being made of the very stuff of God. You are a being of spirit, and spirit is your natural state. Faith is the faculty that keeps you on your path to enlightenment. It keeps you going when times seem hopeless. You came here to learn lessons that may be learned only in physical form. And it's a tough lesson carrying around this physical body that's such a difficult thing to lug around. If you learn these lessons well, you'll avoid taking the course over and over again. And believe me, you want to do that if you can. But I took algebra 3 times in high school. And let me tell you what, if you didn't like algebra the first time, I'll bet you can imagine what it was like the third time. You will do this many, many times. Too many to count as you move from one experience to another on your eternal journey to higher and higher vibratory states of being. We know from scientists that everything in the universe vibrates, and it all vibrates at a different vibratory rate. Each person has a different vibratory rate depending on what their energy is like. It is thought by the great sages of the world that at some point you and I will no longer need the physical lessons of the material world, and that we may literally go home to spirit and rejoin the essence of who and what we really are. At this point, we shall have achieved what our Gnostic friends call gnosis, or the intimate knowledge and experience of the Godhead itself. Faith opens the door to gnosis, which has been likened to reaching out and touching the very face of God. It's a rush that's beyond my comprehension, to my ability to describe. Those without faith in this life shall never experience gnosis, but may if they acquire faith in another lifetime. Don't be in a hurry. Savor every experience on this journey. Learn the unique lessons that your soul must learn, and be assured that no matter how trying or how short a particular experience may seem to the human mind, it too serves the eternal purposes of your spiritual evolution. You know, looking at things from a universal perspective is a lot different than looking from the human perspective. We are micro, God is macro, and things look quite different. There are no bad trips on your eternal soul journey. All serve the higher good, and all advance you to a higher and higher realm of existence. Know that all things in the universe and many others are the work of the divine mind we call God, and serve the greater good. Faith is your fuel, and the tank is never empty unless you empty it. Be well, be prosperous, and be at peace. Nothing can hurt you, for you are God expressing as you. So be peaceful. You are safe and exactly where you're supposed to be. This is Reverend Dore Jacques Patlian thanking you for being with us, and we'll see you again soon. Check out my 120 video podcasts on youtube.com/RevDore, or log on to csl.org to learn more about the teaching we call religious science, or the science of mind. Why not pick up your copy of Dr. Ernest Holmes' great book, The Science of Mind, at Amazon.com. Bye-bye.